Have you ever noticed how some people navigate emotional storms without crumbling? While most explode, scream, lose control, and regret it later, there exists a select group that remains unshakable, like a rock amidst the hurricane. These individuals are not insensitive, they are not cold, they are not robots programmed to ignore pain. They simply master something that few understand. The true power lies in not reacting. And today I will reveal to you the Stoic technique that Batman himself uses to maintain absolute control over his emotions, his decisions, and his life. This technique is not magical. It is not a superficial psychological trick. It is an ancient philosophy tested by emperors, warriors, and sages who faced the worst imaginable scenarios and emerged victorious, not through brute force, but through internal mastery. Stoicism teaches that you cannot control what happens around you, but you can completely control how you respond. And that is exactly what separates the weak from the powerful, the reactive from the strategic, the impulsive from the relentless. When you react without thinking, you hand over your power to whoever provoked the situation. When you choose not to react, you maintain absolute control over your narrative. And that is exactly what Batman does in every confrontation, in every trap, in every moment of extreme pressure. He does not act on impulse, he acts strategically. He does not let himself be dominated by anger, fear, or pain. He observes, processes, decides, and then acts with surgical precision. This is not coldness, this is emotional mastery. And this mastery can be yours too. Most people live as hostages to their own emotions. Someone says something offensive, and they explode. Something goes wrong, and they panic. They feel attacked and immediately counterattack. And what happens? They lose credibility, they lose respect, they lose opportunities, and often they lose entire relationships because they cannot control a momentary reaction. The true power lies in not reacting because when you react impulsively, you are operating on the autopilot of your reptilian brain, the most primitive part that only knows fight or flight. But when you master the art of not reacting, you activate the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for strategic thinking, logical analysis, and rational decision-making. You exit survival mode and enter mastery mode. The Stoics knew this over 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome and one of the greatest practitioners of Stoicism, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not over external events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This phrase sums it all up. No matter what happens around you, you always have the choice of how to respond. And it is in that choice that all your power resides. Batman is the perfect embodiment of this Stoic philosophy applied to action. Observe any story of the Dark Knight, and you will see a consistent pattern. He never acts out of pure emotion. Even when he loses people he loves, even when he is betrayed, even when he is on the brink of physical and mental collapse, he does not react impulsively. He pauses, breathes, analyzes the situation from every possible angle, and then executes the most effective strategy. This does not mean he does not feel. On the contrary, Batman feels deeply. The loss of his parents marked him forever. The betrayal of allies hurts him. Injustice outrages him. But he has learned something fundamental. Feeling does not mean reacting. You can feel anger without exploding into uncontrolled violence. You can feel fear without freezing. You can feel pain without letting it destroy you. The true power lies in not reacting automatically to your emotions, but in recognizing them, processing them, and then consciously choosing your next action. This is Batman's Stoic technique, and it works because it transforms you from a victim of circumstances into the architect of your own destiny. Let's understand the mechanics behind this. When something bad happens, your brain releases a cascade of neurotransmitters: cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine. Your body goes into maximum alert mode. Your heart rate spikes, your breathing accelerates, your muscles tense up. All of this happens in milliseconds, long before you have any conscious control over the situation. It is an automatic survival response that was useful when our ancestors faced predators on the savannah, but it becomes a huge obstacle in modern life where most threats are not physical, but emotional and psychological. The problem is that in this state of hyper-alertness, you do not think clearly, you react. And automatic reactions are rarely the best responses. They may seem satisfying in the moment, they may even provide temporary relief from tension, but they almost always lead to negative long-term consequences. Words that cannot be taken back, actions that cannot be undone, relationships that cannot be repaired, all because you failed to master the impulse to react. Batman's Stoic technique reverses this dynamic. Instead of being hijacked by emotions, you create a space between the stimulus and the response, between what happens and what you do about it. And it is in that space that all the difference between mediocrity and greatness lies. How do you create that space? How do you apply the true power of not reacting in your practical life? First, you need to develop emotional awareness. This means recognizing when you are being overtaken by an intense emotion. It seems simple, but most people are so identified with their emotions that they cannot separate them from their sense of identity. They do not say, "I am feeling angry." They say, "I am angry." They do not say, "I am anxious." They say, "I am anxious." This total identification with the momentary emotional state is the root of all unnecessary suffering and all the impulsive reactions that you later regret. Batman does not identify with his emotions. He observes them like a scientist observes data in an experiment. Interesting, I am feeling intense anger right now. Why? What is causing this? Is this anger helping or hindering my goal? Should I act based on it, or should I choose a different response? This metacognition, this ability to think about your own thinking and feel about your own feeling, is what separates ordinary people from extraordinary ones. And it is not a mystical gift reserved for superheroes. It is a skill that can be trained through deliberate practice. The second step is to implement what the Stoics called prososh, or vigilant attention. This means being present in the moment, aware of your thoughts and emotions as they arise, before they turn into automatic reactions. In practice, it works like this. When something happens that would normally make you react impulsively, you implement a conscious pause. It can be 1 second, it can be 3 deep breaths, it can be counting mentally to 10. The specific method matters less than the intention behind it. Creating a gap between stimulus and response. During that gap, you ask strategic questions. Does this really deserve my energy? Will reacting now bring me closer to or further away from my goals? Does this person or situation have real power over me? Or am I voluntarily giving away my power? What would the wisest and strongest version of me do in this moment? These questions reactivate your prefrontal cortex and pull you out of automatic reactive mode. Suddenly, you are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You are in control. And that changes absolutely everything in how you navigate through life. Batman uses this technique constantly. When the Joker provokes him, trying to make him break his moral code and kill, Batman does not take the bait. He recognizes the manipulation, understands that reacting emotionally would be exactly what the villain wants, and chooses a calculated response that keeps his principles intact while neutralizing the threat. When allies betray him or question his methods, he does not enter heated arguments defending his ego. He assesses whether the criticism has merit, incorporates what is useful, discards what is not, and moves on without carrying resentments that would make him weaker. When he faces physically superior opponents, he does not try to beat them at their own game. He changes the rules of the game, uses intelligence where others use brute force, uses strategy where others use aggression. All of this is only possible because he has mastered the true power that lies in not reacting. He has transformed Stoicism from an abstract philosophy into a practical combat tool, not just against external enemies, but against the greatest enemy of all, the internal impulsiveness that destroys more lives than any villain ever could. The practical application of this Stoic technique in your daily life begins with small experiments. You do not need to face the Joker or save Gotham City. Start with everyday situations that normally drive you crazy. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and your first impulse is to honk furiously, curse, maybe even make some obscene gesture. Stop. Breathe. Ask yourself, will this improve my situation in any way? Will it make me arrive faster at my destination? Will it educate the other driver? Or will it just unload my frustration? Bait. Instead, you maintain your composure, assess the situation, and respond thoughtfully rather than reactively. This approach not only protects your professional relationships, but also enhances your reputation as someone who is level-headed and reliable. In personal relationships, the ability to not react impulsively can be equally transformative. How many times have you said something in anger that you later regretted? How many relationships have been strained or even severed because of a momentary lapse in emotional control? By applying the Stoic technique of Batman, you can navigate difficult conversations with grace. When a loved one says something hurtful, instead of retaliating with a sharp comment, you take a moment to breathe and reflect. You might say, I need a moment to think about what you just said, allowing yourself the space to respond rather than react. This not only helps to de-escalate the situation, but also fosters a more constructive dialogue. You begin to create an environment where both parties feel heard and respected, rather than defensive and combative. In high-stress situations, whether at work or in your personal life, visualizing potential challenges and rehearsing calm responses can significantly alter the outcome. Imagine facing a difficult conversation with a colleague or a family member. Instead of dreading the encounter, you mentally prepare yourself, envisioning a positive outcome where both parties leave the conversation feeling understood. This mental rehearsal equips you with the tools to handle the situation with poise, reducing anxiety and increasing your confidence. Over time, as you practice this stoic approach, you will find that your emotional resilience strengthens. You become less affected by external circumstances and more in control of your internal state. This shift not only enhances your well-being, but also positively impacts those around you. People are drawn to individuals who exude calmness and confidence, and as you embody these traits, you will naturally attract more opportunities and build stronger connections. The journey to mastering the art of not reacting is not a quick fix. It requires consistent practice and self-reflection. However, the rewards are profound. You will find yourself navigating life's challenges with greater ease, making decisions that align with your values, and fostering healthier relationships. Ultimately, the true power of not reacting lies in your ability to choose your response, to act with intention rather than impulse. This mastery transforms you from a passive participant in your life into an active creator of your destiny. You become the hero of your own story, much like Batman. Not because you possess superhuman abilities, but because you have cultivated the strength of character to respond thoughtfully to whatever life throws your way. In conclusion, the Stoic principle of not reacting impulsively is a powerful tool that can enhance every aspect of your life. By developing this skill, you not only improve your emotional well-being, but also become a more effective communicator, a better leader, and a more compassionate friend. The journey may be challenging, but the rewards are well worth the effort. Embrace the power of choice, cultivate your emotional resilience, and watch as your life transforms in ways you never thought possible. Bait. You maintain impeccable professionalism, focus on results, and let your work speak for you. This approach not only protects your reputation, but builds an image of maturity, reliability, and leadership that naturally attracts promotions and better opportunities. In personal relationships, the impact is even deeper. Most conflicts in relationships do not arise from real problems, but from disproportionate emotional reactions to small issues. Someone forgets to do something they promised, and instead of simply reminding them calmly, you explode as if it were a monumental betrayal. Your partner makes a thoughtless comment, and you turn that into an epic discussion about respect and consideration. A friend cancels last-minute plans, and you interpret it as disinterest and start to distance yourself. All these reactions are automatic, emotional, and generally disproportionate to the actual situation. And all of them damage relationships that could be wonderful if you simply applied the true power that lies in not reacting. When you master this Stoic technique, you become capable of responding to others' behaviors with curiosity instead of judgment, with understanding instead of condemnation, with clear communication instead of emotional attacks. You ask, "What is going on with you?" Instead of accusing, "Why do you always do this?" You express, "I felt undervalued when that happened," instead of exploding, "You never respect me." This shift in approach completely transforms the dynamics of any relationship. Conflicts that once turned into epic battles now resolve in productive conversations. Misunderstandings that once accumulated into resentments are now clarified quickly, and the emotional connection deepens because both people feel safe to be vulnerable, knowing they will not be impulsively attacked. The Stoic technique of Batman is also crucial for mental health. Anxiety in most cases comes from reacting emotionally to thoughts about possible futures that have not yet happened and may never happen. Depression often arises from reacting emotionally to thoughts about past that cannot be changed. Chronic anger comes from constantly reacting to perceptions of injustice or disrespect. All these negative emotional states are exponentially amplified by our tendency to react automatically to our own thoughts as if they were absolute truths. Stoicism teaches something revolutionary. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. And just as you can choose not to react to the behavior of others, you can choose not to react to every thought that passes through your mind. An anxious thought arises. What if I fail at that important project? Instead of reacting by spiraling into panic imagining catastrophic scenarios, you observe the thought, recognize that it is just one possibility among many, and choose to focus on what is under your control now. Proper preparation. A depressive thought arises. I always mess everything up. I will never improve. Instead of accepting this as fact and sinking further, you recognize the distorted cognitive pattern, question the real evidence, and consciously direct your attention to contrary examples and constructive actions. This metacognition, this ability to observe your own mental processes without being completely dominated by them, is essentially the same skill that Batman uses to maintain mental sanity while facing the worst aspects of humanity night after night. Developing this skill requires consistent practice. It is not something you master by reading a text or watching a video. It is a skill built through deliberate repetition in real situations. Start small. Choose a specific area of your life where you tend to react impulsively and commit to trying the Stoic approach for a week. It could be in traffic. It could be in discussions with a specific person. It could be in how you respond to criticism at work. Set the intention clearly. This week, when X happens, I will pause, breathe 3 times, and consciously choose my response instead of reacting automatically. After that week, evaluate the results. You will likely notice that your interactions were calmer, that you felt more in control, that you managed to avoid unnecessary conflicts. These small successes create motivation to continue. Then you expand to other areas. Gradually, what started as a conscious effort becomes second nature. You naturally create that space between stimulus and response. You automatically ask yourself if reacting serves any useful purpose before doing so. And eventually you become someone known for your calmness, your wisdom, your ability to keep a cool head when everyone around you is losing theirs. You become, in your own way, like Batman, a human being without superpowers who achieves extraordinary results through emotional mastery and strategic thinking. The last crucial aspect of this Stoic technique is understanding that not reacting does not mean not feeling, and does not mean being indifferent to injustices or real problems. This is a common misunderstanding of Stoicism. People think that being Stoic is being apathetic, indifferent, cold. But true Stoics were deeply engaged with the world, deeply concerned with justice, virtue, and the common good. Marcus Aurelius led an empire. Seneca advised emperors. Epictetus taught generations of students. All of them were intensely involved in making a difference in the world. What they did not do was react emotionally in ways that made them less effective. Batman deeply loves Gotham City. He intensely cares about every victim, every injustice, every crime, but he does not allow that love and concern to make him reactive and emotional in ways that would compromise his effectiveness. He channels those emotions into strategic and sustained action. You can and should do the same. When you see injustice, do not ignore it, but also do not react with impotent anger that changes nothing. Instead, channel that emotional energy into constructive action. Organize, educate, mobilize, create solutions. When you care about someone who is suffering, do not pretend it does not matter, but also do not drown in their pain to the point where you become unable to truly help. Maintain compassion with mental clarity, empathy with healthy boundaries. This balance between feeling deeply and acting wisely is the essence of Stoic philosophy and the hallmark of true leaders in any area of life. The true power lies in not reacting because when you master your reactions, you master your life. You are no longer a drifting boat on the emotional waves of external circumstances. You are the captain who chooses the course, adjusts the sails as needed, and navigates purposefully toward your goals regardless of the storms you encounter along the way. This is the promise of Stoicism. This is the Stoic technique of Batman, and this can be your reality if you commit to practicing it consistently. Start today. The next time something provokes you, remember, you have a choice. You can react automatically as you always have and get the same results as always. Or you can pause, breathe, consciously choose your response, and begin to experience the liberating power that comes from being in control of your own emotions and actions. The world does not need more reactive people losing control at the first sign of difficulty. The world needs more people who embody this Stoic wisdom, who demonstrate that it is possible to remain centered, rational, and effective, even in the most challenging circumstances. Be one of those people. Master the Stoic technique of Batman and discover the true power that has always been available to you. The power to not react impulsively, but to respond wisely to everything life presents.